Today's video, we're counting down the most valuable state quarters, revealing the rare mint errors that make them so desirable, and showing you exactly what to look for before you spend another quarter. Stay until the end, because the rarest coin on this list might already be hiding in your change. Have you ever wondered if a single quarter sitting in your pocket, your car's cup holder, or an old coin jar could be worth more than a luxury home? Most people never think twice before spending a quarter on a parking meter, a vending machine, or a morning coffee. Collectors, however, know a completely different story. The difference between a spender and a collector isn't the amount of money they have. It's what they notice. Somewhere in America, a rare 2000 Maryland quarter dollar could still be hiding in everyday circulation, waiting for someone with a sharp eye to discover it. And under the right circumstances, one extraordinary example with the right combination of rarity, preservation, and minting errors has been discussed with values reaching astonishing levels, with some estimates reaching as high as $723,000. Before you dismiss that possibility, ask yourself one question. When was the last time you actually looked closely at the quarters in your pocket instead of simply spending them? The truth is that millions of Americans unknowingly pass valuable coins from one hand to another every single day. Some are tucked inside forgotten piggy banks. Others remain hidden inside inherited collections that nobody has examined for decades. Every year, collectors make incredible discoveries because they decided to slow down and inspect what everyone else ignored. Imagine throwing away a winning lottery ticket simply because you didn't know what it looked like. That's exactly what happens when rare error coins are spent as ordinary change. The 2000 Maryland quarter holds a special place in American numismatic history. Released as part of the famous 50-state quarters program, it celebrated Maryland as the 7th state admitted to the Union. The reverse design proudly features the magnificent dome of the Maryland State House, one of America's oldest state capitals still in continuous legislative use, surrounded by stately white oak branches. Hundreds of millions of these quarters were struck, making the ordinary version extremely common. But hidden among those massive production numbers are a tiny handful of extraordinary coins that collectors spend years searching for. Now here's where the story becomes fascinating. The overwhelming majority of Maryland quarters are worth exactly 25 cents. Yet a microscopic percentage escaped the mint with unusual manufacturing mistakes that transformed ordinary pocket change into collector treasures. In the world of coin collecting, rarity is never determined solely by age. It is determined by scarcity, condition, and uniqueness. When all three come together on the same coin, remarkable things can happen. Before we continue, take just 10 seconds and think about where your loose change is right now. Is there a jar in your kitchen? A drawer in your office? A forgotten box in your garage? You might be closer to discovering something valuable than you realize. One of the most exciting errors associated with state quarters involves dramatic off-center strikes. During production, if the blank planchet fails to align properly between the dies, the design may be struck noticeably off-center. The more dramatic the misalignment while still displaying a visible date, the more desirable the coin becomes to collectors. These striking errors instantly stand apart from ordinary circulation coins because the design appears shifted, leaving an unstruck blank area along the edge. Another highly desirable variety is the double strike error. Instead of receiving a single clean strike, the coin is accidentally struck twice. Depending on how the second strike lands, important details such as lettering, the state house, or the date may appear duplicated or dramatically shifted. Genuine double strikes are carefully authenticated because they are both visually impressive and extremely collectible. Collectors also watch closely for broad strike errors. Normally, a retaining collar surrounds the planchet during striking to create the coin's precise shape and reeded edge. If the collar fails to function properly, the coin expands beyond its normal diameter. The result is an unusually wide quarter with distorted proportions. These errors immediately attract attention because they look noticeably different from every other coin in circulation. Perhaps even more intriguing are die cracks and retained cut errors. As minting dies wear under tremendous pressure, tiny fractures can develop. Those fractures leave raised lines across the finished coin. In more advanced cases, portions of the die may actually break away, producing large raised blobs known as cuds. Every die crack tells a story about the enormous forces involved in producing America's coinage, and advanced collectors often compete for dramatic examples. Then there are dramatic die breaks and die chips that appear in unusual locations. Although tiny die chips are relatively common, larger examples that significantly alter the appearance of the design can command substantial collector interest. These production anomalies create one-of-a-kind visual characteristics that distinguish a rare specimen from millions of identical counterparts. One error that continues generating excitement is the possibility of struck-through errors. During minting, foreign material can become trapped between the die and the blank planchet. Instead of producing a perfect design, the obstruction leaves unusual missing details or textured impressions. Since every obstruction is different, no two struck-through coins are exactly alike. Here's something many people never realize. Not every unusual-looking quarter is valuable. Damage caused after the coin leaves the mint is completely different from a genuine mint error. Scratches, hammer marks, heat damage, grinding, polishing, or machine alteration rarely add value. In fact, they often reduce it dramatically. That's why professional authentication becomes absolutely essential before celebrating an apparent discovery. Now ask yourself another question. If someone handed you two identical-looking Maryland quarters, could you tell which one might be worth hundreds, or even thousands, of dollars? Most people couldn't. That's exactly why extraordinary coins continue slipping unnoticed through circulation. Condition plays an equally important role in determining value. Professional grading services evaluate coins using strict numerical standards. A Maryland quarter preserved in exceptional mint state condition, showing original luster with virtually no wear, immediately enters an entirely different value category than a heavily circulated example. Even without an error, premium condition always attracts stronger collector demand. Add a dramatic mint error to that exceptional preservation, and competition among advanced collectors can become intense. The Maryland quarter also belongs to one of the most widely collected modern American coin series ever produced. Millions of Americans assembled state quarter collections during the early 2000s. As those collectors continue upgrading their sets with higher quality examples and dramatic mint errors, demand remains surprisingly resilient. Every year, newly discovered varieties generate fresh excitement throughout the numismatic community. Now here's an interesting thought. Somewhere tonight, someone is probably emptying their pockets onto a kitchen counter without realizing that one unusual quarter deserves far more attention than the rest. That's the incredible reality of coin collecting. Treasure doesn't always arrive inside pirate chests. Sometimes it arrives mixed with laundry change. When discussions turn to extraordinary values, headlines often capture the imagination. Exceptional coins with remarkable combinations of rarity, dramatic mint errors, elite certified grades, and intense auction competition can command astonishing prices. Under unique market conditions, estimates have circulated suggesting that a truly extraordinary Maryland quarter could theoretically approach values as high as $723,000. Such figures represent exceptionally rare circumstances rather than the value of a typical 2000 Maryland quarter, but they illustrate just how powerful rarity, condition, provenance, and collector demand can become when they converge. The coin market itself has changed dramatically over the past decade. More collectors are participating through online auctions than ever before. Digital marketplaces allow bidders from across the country and around the world to compete simultaneously for elite specimens. When two determined collectors refuse to stop bidding, prices can exceed every previous expectation. That's why yesterday's record often becomes tomorrow's starting point. If you believe you've found something unusual, resist the temptation to clean it. Cleaning almost always reduces collectible value by permanently altering the coin's original surface. Instead, handle the coin carefully by its edges, store it in a protective holder, and seek evaluation from a respected professional grading service. Authenticity and preservation are critical factors in maximizing long-term value. Think about this for a moment. How many times have you received quarters in change over the past year? 50? 100? Maybe several hundred? What if just one of those coins deserved a second look? The cost of checking is almost nothing. The cost of overlooking an important rarity could be enormous. The most successful collectors aren't necessarily the wealthiest people. They're simply the most observant. They develop patience, educate themselves, and understand that remarkable discoveries usually happen to individuals willing to inspect what everyone else ignores. Every coin tells a story. Most stories end at 25 cents. A very small number become legends. As the fascination surrounding rare American coins continues growing, hidden treasures become increasingly difficult to find. More people are searching than ever before. That means each undiscovered error coin remaining in circulation becomes even more exciting. The next incredible discovery could happen tomorrow or 5 minutes from now, as someone sorts through a forgotten jar of loose change. Before you spend another quarter, pause for just a second. Turn it over. Examine the date. Study the edges. Look closely for unusual doubling, striking abnormalities, off-center designs, die cracks, broad strikes, or other genuine mint errors. That simple habit has transformed ordinary people into owners of extraordinary collectibles more than once throughout American numismatic history. And remember, today's overlooked Maryland quarter may not be the only hidden treasure still waiting to be discovered. In our next video, we'll uncover another ultra-rare American coin with a fascinating mint error that has stunned collectors and sparked bidding wars at major auctions. You won't want to miss what's coming next, because the next life-changing coin might already be sitting quietly in your pocket, waiting for someone who finally decides to look. What if I told you that a single 2000 Virginia quarter could be worth more than a luxury mansion? Most people receive quarters in change, toss them into a jar, or feed them into vending machines without a second thought. Collectors, however, see something entirely different. They see history, rarity, and sometimes an opportunity worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. That simple difference in perspective separates the spender from the collector. One person spends 25 cents. The other could uncover a life-changing discovery. And here's the surprising part. Some of these rare quarters may still be hiding in circulation or forgotten inside old piggy banks, dresser drawers, and family coin collections. Before this video ends, you'll understand exactly why a seemingly ordinary 2000 Virginia quarter has become one of the most talked about modern coins among serious collectors, and why certain examples have sparked incredible excitement throughout the numismatic community. The Virginia quarter was released in the year 2000 as part of the enormously successful 50-state quarters program. The reverse design honors Virginia's rich colonial history by featuring 3 historic ships: the Susan Constant, the Godspeed, and the Discovery. These vessels carried the English settlers who established Jamestown in 1607, the first permanent English settlement in North America. Millions of Americans admired the beautiful design, but very few realized that a handful of extraordinary examples would eventually become legendary because of rare minting errors and exceptional preservation. Now, here's where things become fascinating. Most 2000 Virginia quarters are only worth their face value. Even nice, uncirculated examples typically command only a small premium. But collecting has never been about ordinary coins. It has always been about extraordinary survivors, those rare mistakes and elite condition pieces that somehow escaped the mint and entered circulation unnoticed. Those are the coins that experienced collectors spend years searching for. Before we continue, take a quick look at your coin jar, wallet, or that forgotten container of loose change sitting somewhere in your house. You might laugh at the idea today, but countless valuable coins have been discovered in ordinary places. Every year, collectors report exciting finds that had been hiding in plain sight for decades. The United States Mint produced hundreds of millions of Virginia quarters across multiple facilities, including Philadelphia and Denver, while beautiful proof versions were struck in San Francisco for collectors. With such enormous production numbers, many people assume rarity is impossible. Ironically, that assumption is exactly what allows rare error coins to remain hidden. When billions of coins look almost identical, the few extraordinary pieces can easily escape attention. One of the most desirable errors involves a dramatic off-center strike. During the minting process, if the blank planchet is not perfectly aligned beneath the dies, the design can be struck noticeably off-center. The more dramatic the misalignment while still retaining a visible date, the more desirable the coin becomes. Collectors often compete aggressively for examples displaying significant off-center strikes because every piece is unique. No two errors are exactly alike. Another highly respected variety is the double-struck quarter. This occurs when a coin receives more than one strike from the dies, creating overlapping images, distorted lettering, or duplicated design elements. Authentic double strikes are among the most visually impressive mint errors because the mistake can often be recognized immediately, even by beginning collectors. Their unusual appearance makes them highly collectible, especially when the second strike is bold and dramatic. Perhaps even more exciting are broad strike errors. Normally, a retaining collar keeps the metal contained during striking, giving every quarter its proper diameter and reeded edge. When that collar fails, the coin expands beyond its normal size, producing a broad, flat appearance with missing or weakened edge reeds. These errors are both technically fascinating and visually dramatic, making them favorites among advanced error collectors. Then there are clipped planchet errors. Before coins are struck, round blanks are punched from large sheets of metal. Occasionally, one blank overlaps the edge of another, leaving a curved section missing from the finished coin. This creates the famous curved clip that collectors immediately recognize. Genuine clipped planchets often display distinctive metal flow characteristics that help experts verify their authenticity. Die cracks and retained die breaks represent another category that attracts significant interest. As dies strike hundreds of thousands of coins, microscopic fractures can develop. Eventually, these cracks appear on the coins themselves as raised lines crossing portions of the design. In advanced stages, larger pieces of the die may begin breaking away, producing spectacular raised metal formations that transform ordinary quarters into highly collectible mint errors. Even more dramatic are major die breaks, sometimes nicknamed cuds. These occur when a substantial portion of the die breaks off near its edge, allowing metal to flow into the missing area during striking. The resulting raised blob of metal can cover parts of the design while creating one of the most recognizable error types in modern coin collecting. Now let me ask you something. If millions of Virginia quarters were made, why would anyone pay enormous sums for one? The answer lies in a simple principle that drives every collectible market in the world: rarity combined with demand. The overwhelming majority of quarters are ordinary. The truly exceptional ones are astonishingly scarce. When elite collectors compete for the same handful of certified examples, prices can rise dramatically. Condition is equally important. Professional grading services evaluate every tiny detail under magnification, assigning numerical grades that range from poor to the nearly perfect mint state 70. A difference of only 1 or 2 grading points can increase value by thousands, or sometimes tens of thousands of dollars. Coins displaying exceptional luster, razor-sharp details, and flawless surfaces become the trophies that serious collectors pursue. Many collectors describe these extraordinary Virginia quarters as ghost coins, not because they are imaginary, but because they appear so rarely on the market that years may pass before another comparable specimen becomes available. When one finally surfaces, experienced buyers move quickly, recognizing that another opportunity may not arrive anytime soon. Imagine spending a quarter on a cup of coffee years ago. Today, that same coin, if it happened to carry an extraordinary mint error and survive in remarkable condition, could become the centerpiece of an elite collection. Stories like these are exactly why collectors inspect every coin carefully before spending it. Here's another quick challenge. The next time you receive change at a grocery store, don't put those quarters away immediately. Instead, examine the date. Look closely at the design. Rotate the coin under good lighting. You may only spend 30 seconds doing it, but those few seconds could reveal something that thousands of people have overlooked. It's also important to separate excitement from reality. Not every unusual-looking coin is a genuine mint error. Damage caused after leaving the mint, such as scratches, dents, corrosion, or machine damage, rarely carries significant collector value. That's why authentication from respected third-party grading companies is essential before assuming a coin is worth a fortune. Among collectors, rumors sometimes circulate about extraordinary Virginia quarters potentially reaching values approaching $600,000. Such numbers represent the absolute highest end of market speculation and would generally require an exceptionally rare combination of major mint errors, elite certified condition, outstanding eye appeal, and intense competition among advanced collectors. These headline figures are not typical for ordinary Virginia quarters, but they illustrate how the market rewards truly unique coins when rarity and demand intersect. The modern coin market continues attracting new collectors every year. Rising interest in tangible assets, American history, and rare mint errors has increased competition for exceptional examples. As more people begin searching through pocket change and inherited collections, awareness grows, but genuine rarity never changes. The rarest pieces remain just as elusive as they were the day they left the mint. Think about that for a moment. Somewhere, perhaps inside an old coffee can in a garage, a forgotten family collection, or a jar filled with decades of spare change, an extraordinary Virginia quarter could still be waiting to be discovered. The owner may have no idea that one unusual coin deserves far more attention than the hundreds surrounding it. That possibility is what makes coin collecting unlike almost any other hobby. Treasure isn't always buried beneath the ground. Sometimes it's sitting quietly in your own home, overlooked because it looks too ordinary to matter. The smartest collectors develop one habit that separates them from everyone else: patience. They don't rush. They study. They learn the characteristics of genuine errors. They compare examples. They understand grading. Most importantly, they examine every coin carefully because experience has taught them that remarkable discoveries often hide inside the most ordinary places. If today's story inspires you, make your next handful of pocket change more than just loose coins. Turn it into an opportunity to learn, to explore history, and perhaps uncover something extraordinary. Every quarter has a story. Most are common. A tiny few become legends. And remember, the next ultra-rare coin we'll explore has stunned even experienced collectors with an unbelievable mint error that transformed an ordinary coin into one of the most desirable modern treasures in American numismatics. You won't want to miss that incredible story, because the next life-changing discovery might already be waiting in your pocket. What if I told you that a single quarter sitting in a forgotten drawer, a cup holder, or even the bottom of a coin jar could be worth far more than a luxury home? Most people spend a 1999 Georgia quarter without a second thought. They buy a cup of coffee, pay for parking, or toss it into a vending machine, never realizing they may have just given away one of the most valuable modern coins ever discovered. That's the difference between a spender and a collector. One sees 25 cents. The other sees opportunity. And today, we're uncovering why one extraordinary version of the 1999 Georgia $quarter coin has captured the attention of elite collectors, and why certain rare examples have been associated with astonishing values reaching as high as $670,000 under exceptional circumstances. Before you spend another quarter, you may want to check your pocket change because this story could completely change the way you look at ordinary coins forever. The 1999 Georgia State Quarter was one of the earliest releases in the famous 50-State Quarters program, a series that transformed coin collecting across America. Millions of people who had never looked closely at their change suddenly began checking every new quarter they received. The Georgia design proudly displays the state's famous peach, majestic live oak branches, and the historic outline of Georgia itself. At first glance, it appears to be nothing more than a beautiful circulating coin. Yet beneath that familiar design lies a fascinating world of minting mysteries, microscopic details, and incredibly rare production errors that continue to excite collectors decades later. Here's something many people don't realize. The overwhelming majority of 1999 Georgia quarters are worth exactly 25 cents. That fact makes the rare error examples even more extraordinary because they are hidden among millions of perfectly ordinary coins. Finding one isn't simply about luck. It's about knowing exactly what to look for while everyone else ignores the details. So before we go any further, here's a challenge. If you have a jar of loose change somewhere in your home, pause for a moment after this video and check it carefully. You never know what may have been waiting there for years. Some of the most valuable discoveries in modern numismatics have come from ordinary people who decided to take a closer look. Let's begin with one of the most sought-after minting mistakes: the dramatic off-center strike. During production, If the blank planchet fails to align correctly with the dies, the design can be struck noticeably off-center. While small off-center strikes are relatively common and carry modest premiums, dramatic examples showing a clear date and major design displacement become significantly more desirable. Collectors prize these coins because each one is completely unique, almost like a fingerprint created by a split-second mistake inside the United States Mint. Another fascinating error is the broad strike. This happens when the retaining collar fails to hold the coin in place during striking. Instead of producing the standard quarter shape, the metal expands beyond its intended diameter, creating an unusually wide appearance with missing edge reading. To an untrained eye, it simply looks strange. To an experienced collector, it could represent a highly collectible mint error, deserving professional authentication. Now let's move to one of the most dramatic categories of all, the double strike. Imagine a quarter being struck once, shifting position, and then being struck again before leaving the press. The result can be overlapping images, distorted lettering, and dramatic visual effects that instantly capture collector attention. These mistakes are rare because modern minting equipment is designed with extraordinary precision. When one slips through quality control, it becomes a remarkable survivor of an event that was never supposed to happen. But perhaps one of the most talked about possibilities involves double dies. Unlike a double strike, a double die is created during the manufacturing of the die itself. This means every coin struck from that defective die carries the same doubling characteristics. Collectors often examine the lettering, the date, and portions of the design under magnification, searching for clear separation in the details. Genuine double dies can command significant premiums depending on their visibility, rarity, and collector demand. Here's another attention check. Have you ever looked at the letters on a quarter with a magnifying glass? Most people never have. Yet some of the world's most valuable discoveries have started with nothing more than careful observation and a little patience. Among advanced collectors, die cracks and retained die breaks also generate excitement. As a die ages under enormous striking pressure, tiny fractures can develop. These cracks eventually transfer raised lines onto the coin itself. In more dramatic cases, larger portions of the die begin to fail, creating unusual raised features that make each coin visually distinctive. While many die cracks are relatively common, major retained die breaks become much scarcer and often attract specialized collectors searching for unusual mint varieties. Then there are clipped planchets, one of the easiest errors for beginners to recognize. Before striking, coin blanks are punched from large sheets of metal. Occasionally, a blank is cut too close to the edge of another blank, leaving a curved section missing from the finished coin. These clipped planchet errors create an unmistakable appearance that immediately stands out from an ordinary quarter. One of the greatest misconceptions in modern coin collecting is that rarity alone determines value. In reality, rarity is only one part of the equation. Condition plays an equally important role. A rare error that has spent years in circulation may still be valuable, but an error preserved in nearly perfect mint state condition becomes dramatically more desirable. Professional grading services evaluate every tiny detail, including surface preservation, strike quality, luster, and eye appeal. Even a single point difference on the grading scale can increase a coin's market value by thousands of dollars. Now imagine finding a rare error coin that has remained virtually untouched since leaving the mint over 25 years ago. That combination of rarity and exceptional preservation is exactly what serious collectors spend years searching for. This is where the Georgia quarter becomes something of a ghost in the marketplace. Many of the finest known examples already reside in advanced private collections. Others rarely appear at public auction because owners recognize how difficult they would be to replace. Every time one resurfaces, competitive bidding can become intense, especially if the coin displays a dramatic mint error paired with an elite certified grade. The excitement surrounding these coins has only grown as more collectors enter the hobby. Online marketplaces, major auctions, and registry competitions have created an environment where exceptional modern errors receive unprecedented attention. What once may have been overlooked as damaged change is now carefully studied under high-powered magnification by experts searching for overlooked treasures. Let's be honest for a moment. How many quarters have passed through your hands this year? hundreds, maybe even thousands. Now imagine if just one of them turned out to be an extraordinary mint error worth far more than its face value. That's exactly why experienced collectors never dismiss pocket change. Every coin tells a story, and sometimes that story becomes incredibly valuable. It's important to understand that headlines mentioning values approaching $670,000 represent extraordinary situations involving exceptionally rare characteristics, elite condition, strong collector demand, and competitive auction environments. Most 1999 Georgia quarters will never reach anywhere near those numbers. However, truly remarkable error coins with outstanding certification can achieve astonishing prices that surprise even longtime collectors. Professional authentication is absolutely essential. Counterfeits, post-mint damage, and altered coins exist throughout the marketplace. Before assuming you've discovered a fortune, experts recommend having unusual coins evaluated by respected third-party grading services. Proper authentication not only confirms whether an error is genuine but also establishes the condition that heavily influences market value. Another fascinating aspect of this hobby is that new discoveries continue to emerge. Even decades after the Georgia quarter entered circulation, collectors still report previously unnoticed varieties and spectacular mint errors. That ongoing possibility keeps the market exciting because no one can say with certainty that every valuable example has already been found. Here's one final challenge before we reach the end of today's story. Tonight, instead of scrolling endlessly through your phone, spend just 10 minutes searching through your loose change. Look carefully at every 1999 Georgia quarter. Examine the date. Inspect the lettering. Study the edge. Search for unusual doubling, dramatic off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, or any feature that appears different from a normal coin. Those few minutes could become the most profitable treasure hunt you've ever experienced. Coin collecting has never been just about money. It's about history, craftsmanship, discovery, and the excitement of uncovering something extraordinary where everyone else sees the ordinary. Every remarkable auction record began with someone recognizing that an overlooked coin deserved a second look. The next time someone hands you change at a grocery store, gas station, or restaurant, don't automatically toss those quarters into your pocket. Hold them for a moment. Look closely. Ask yourself one simple question. What if this is the one everyone else missed? The hidden treasures of America are still circulating, quietly passing from hand to hand every single day. Most people will never notice them, but collectors know that opportunity often hides in plain sight, waiting for someone curious enough to look just a little closer. And this may only be the beginning. In our next episode, we'll uncover another ultra-rare American coin with an incredible backstory, astonishing mint errors, and a value that has left seasoned collectors speechless. You won't want to miss what could be hiding in your pocket next.